Well, New York Senior Senator wants to ground a plan that would shrink the size of carry-on luggage. I was just saying that, right?
Senator Charles Schumer said smaller bags would force people to pay more check-in fees or spend money on new luggage.
I am publicly urging the major airlines to ground any plan to reduce the size of carry-on luggage. We say to the airlines, you're flush. You're making record profits. You've added extra fee after extra fee after extra fee. Enough already. Enough already.
And Kris Van Cleave joins us now from Washington with more on where we stand now, Kris. So, I mean, this is getting to be really, really difficult.
Well, you know, the bottom line here is if this guideline was to be taken up by U.S. carriers, this is my carry-on, and it more or less is legal, depending, because, you know, it varies airline by airline a little bit as to the size, but this bag would be too big under the new guidelines. In fact, the new bag, which is about 20% smaller, would fit inside this bag. So this would become something I would have to check if the guidelines were adopted by U.S. carriers. Right now, 8 international airlines, including Lufthansa, have come out saying they support the new guidelines. And on one hand, the argument behind this isn't a bad one, in that almost every U.S. airline has a slightly different carry-on bag size. My bag here fits fine in, say, the Alaska Airlines bin sizer and some of the other bin sizers. It's a little bit more of a struggle to get it in. But you're talking about shrinking this, which is the 22 by 14 by 9 bag, by 20%. You know, you're just cut off the top here and some of the side, and that's what you're going to be able to take on the airplane. You know, forget that extra pair of shoes, Vlad, and the extra suits and all the other things that, you know, we end up needing to cram into our bags. You're just not going to have room for it if this takes on. And when the International Air Transport Association, which represents like about 260 airlines worldwide, announced this last week, I don't know that they were quite prepared for the uproar that it provoked. You know, their argument is that it's a bit of baggage roulette when you go to the airport. So standardizing it makes sense, and that's the size that they determined through some kind of cruel mathematics, that if everyone brought that bag on board, there would be room for everyone to have one of them on board. Don't know, so far, no U.S. carriers have signed up, and you heard Charles Schumer there, Senator Schumer, saying he doesn't support it and is urging the U.S. airlines not to do it. But the bottom line is, if you shrink the carry-on bags, you probably do make more off your checked bag fees, and everybody has to go out and buy new luggage.
Well, that's the thing. You've got to go out and spend more money. And how hard is it to find the smaller bags?
Well, so these new bags that would be carry-on okay will likely be on the market by the end of the year. But, you know, I mean, bags aren't cheap. This bag was a couple $100s, I think, when I bought it. So when you think about having to replace them, you know, the bags last a long time. I wasn't planning on replacing this bag for quite some time. So you can see why people don't like the idea. And there's also, I think, a sense, certainly amongst U.S. flyers, about just, you know, being nickeled and dimed to death on everything. It's, you know, some carriers, that is the business model. On others, you know, you really expect to be able to carry your rollerboard bag on board.
Kris, that's exactly, I think, what a lot of consumers are saying right now, is that they're not sure. So they go out and they spend the money on these bags, and in another 2 years, the airlines say, we're going to make it even smaller as we try to squeeze in more people and get you to pay for checking in the luggage. I think that's the question. Kris Van Cleave in Washington, thank you, my man.
No problem.